All right, next up on the song, probably was my favorite verse. It was the one I mimicked the most and rewound the most. Tone Loc. So at this time, I knew Tone Loc for Funky Cold Medina and Wild Thing. Funky Cold Medina. Wild Thing. He had also had Wild Thing, right? White people loved Tone Loc. So I remember seeing videos of Tone Loc, and he's in surfer shorts and Vans and running around with Spuds McKenzie, and like he was a pop culture figure at one point. Hell, he was even in a bunch of movies at one point. He was in Ace Ventura. He was damn sure in Ace Ventura. Not a bad actor, but he was one who kind of went commercial, who, quote, I'm not using this word because I'm all for it, but he, quote, sold out. A lot of people would have put him in the MC Hammer category, back then. But he was doing his thing with that music. I didn't know anything else about Tone Loc, any of his other music. All I knew was Wild Thing and Funky Cold Medina. Later on, obviously, as I grew up and I wanted to go down that rabbit hole, I checked out the music. Okay, cool. And you could see that there was a street element to some of his music. And apparently he was a legit former gang banger. Apparently. Can't tell you where he was from, but I do believe that was the case. And this is the first time I saw this Tone Loc. He had the Locs on, like he always wore the Locs, but like once again, he was wearing surfer shorts and singing Wild Thing. Please, baby, please.
Tone, you're from LA. You know the whole gang thing. Can this weekend expand to something larger? Can it help at all?
It's kind of like, it's like baking a cake here. This is like one ingredient, but it needs so many other ingredients. It's like eggs to a cake, but you can't make that cake without milk, without butter and everything else. This is just like a stepping stone in a way. This one song that, nobody's ignorant to the fact it's not going to stop it, but with a peace rally or with marches or, just everybody really finally want to see it come to an end, then it's possible, because all you really got to do is get them while they're young.
Yeah.
Give them a little swift kick in the behind and a tall can of straighten up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, as a youth, I used to get my bang on, and on the Ave get my part-time slang on. Doing time for me was no joke, though. They knew I was crazy, so they labeled me loco. Khakis, crease, golf hat, feeling sporty. Low riding and tossing up a 40, thinking in my mind that no one could handle us. The downest brothers ever touched Los Angeles. Just that bars, man. Once again, and back then, if you knew you were going to be on a song with, let's just say 20 other MCs, because that might just be what it kind of came out to be about on this song, you knew you better come with your shit. Don't bring no whack ass shit. And everybody on this song came with it. And this is such a trip because they're all from the West Coast, but you can hear their different styles. Now you put on a song and everybody wants to sound the same. Everybody wants to sound like Blueface or Draco, or everybody wants to sound the same. Back then, you did not want to sound like anyone else. You wanted to kill it with your own style. And so far, every one of the artists that I have mentioned tonight, they had their own style. And that's what I loved about hip hop back then, man. And that's something that, unfortunately, you don't see nowadays, especially with the pop music. Because all these artists, they're all pop stars. Tone Loc was a pop star. NWA, they were technically pop stars. So, for them to still like have different styles and not want to sound like anybody else, that's something you will not see with today's pop rap, or pop hip hop, as I would call it. But next up, Above the Law. Being the pimps that we are, we're here to speak on a situation that is going too far here at home in the ghettos of LA, where we're young black brothers, and I promise to see the next day, cause we used to clock on the streets before we made beats, but fools just lay and prey on the weak. It don't depend on the color of a rag, cause if you got what they want, they gonna take what you have, cause violence the only result from drugs and thugs and gangs that bang. Most time it's a political thing. Listen to that. Above the Law, killing it. at that point, I liked a couple of songs by Above the Law, but I wasn't a real big supporter just yet. But I liked a song called VSOP that they had out at this time. Everything is fine when you're rolling with the homies and a little bit of VSOP. Everything is fine when it comes to and a little bit of VSOP to be or not to be. I mean, that was my joint back then. I didn't know what VSOP was. I was 12 years old, but I still liked the song. I still liked it. They had a song called Murder Rap. It had a sick ass beat. And a lot of people would say, let's just say there are theories out there that G-Funk was not created by Dr. Dre, but it was in fact created by members of Above the Law. All right, next up we got Ice-T.
Let me address this next question to Ice. Bill and I were talking about the reasons why it all exists. Talk to us about that. Let's talk about the economics of it. Let's talk about the source.
Well, like right now, the gang situation, as you know, it isn't like it used to be. There used to be people killing different neighborhoods, fights, and things like that. But now it's more an economic thing. It's money involved. It's lots of drugs, and it's a whole different game. They could have stopped it back in the days when it was first starting, when I was involved in it, because it was just basically behind colors, but nobody cared. And last year, like I said last time when I was on your show last year, a woman got killed in Westwood, and all of a sudden there was 70,000 gang members in Los Angeles. And they didn't join that night. It was something that took 20 years to breed, but it came out from the ghettos. Now the problem that's going on here is people don't care about anything unless it happens in their backyard. What's going on in South Central Los Angeles and a lot of the other ghettos in the United States, it's going to come to the suburbs eventually, and we all have to care. We all being in the same gang means we are all in the same gang. We're all in the human race, and we all have to work together. White people have to care about black people. Black people have to look out for each other, just like we're doing this song. This radio stations have to play this record because we're all in this together, and you can't turn your head and say, it's not going to happen to me, because the kids from my neighborhood are going to come move into your neighborhood into the $500,000 house. Hold up. They're going to move into the $500,000 house next door to you with the money they made yesterday. And they're going to be right there, so you can't hide from it. We all have to work together, and that's education. It's about people caring about each other.
One of the GOATs.
I'm at a crossroads every damn day, looking back in my past when I sleep.